fourth quarter meeting, Bristol Township Zoning Commission to order. Will you stand for the pledge of allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we do the roll call, I'd like to announce that Vivian Peace was appointed to the Zoning Commission on October 15th, 2024 by the Bristol Township trustees, and I'd like to welcome her to the commission.
Thank you.
And we have the roll call, please.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Goodrich?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard?
Yes.
And I'm here yet as well.
I'd like to read the notice that was in the paper this time. Excuse me. Bristol Township Zoning Commission will meet at 6 o'clock today at the Township Hall. At least it got in the paper. Next item on the agenda, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing held on August 19th, 2024.
I make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'm not sure I was here, so I'm not gonna.
I know, I don't think I was either.
I think I might have missed that one. I can look at my phone and stuff, so. Yeah, I don't wanna second it. Oh, I was here.
Didn't make my copies tonight.
Yeah, I have it right here. 1 second, I'm almost there. Nope, I wasn't here.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Jeannie was here and
I don't think I was.
She wasn't.
No, she wasn't either. It was me, you, and Robin, I think.
Carol.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, roll call.
Who seconded? Vivian?
I have to second it. I can't second.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I second.
What do I say? Abstain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard?
Abstain.
Ms. Goodrich?
Abstain.
And I'm yes as well.
Thank you. Then I'd like to entertain, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of this meeting held on September 9th, 2024. That's second.
Second.
Roll call. Okay. I'll slow down.
I'll speak it back on.
Okay, you made the motion.
Vivian seconded the motion.
Vivian. Okay, Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Goodrich?
Abstain.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard?
Yes.
And I'm yes as well.
Okay. Open to public for questions and comments. Corey, you have anything right now?
No, sir.
Zoning inspector report. I think there was only one permit issued in September, and that was to a gentleman over on Thompson Clark Road for a pole barn or something like that over there. So that was all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shows how, excuse me. Next item on our agenda is the discussion on ADUs. And,
I made lots of notes.
would you do us a favor, both Carolyn and I, would you document those and send them to us so we can have them in the minutes then?
Yeah, sure. Can I just bring up a couple things?
Yeah, just whatever you want, however you want to present it.
Okay, so I don't know that we need a purpose. I feel like the purpose is obvious. We're outlining it. Do we think that we have to have that purpose statement? Why don't we just cover the definition?
We can
I don't know, just,
make that your suggestion.
okay. And then, a couple other things is, I didn't understand the last sentence in the definition. When appropriate, this definition includes the property on which the short-term rental is located. Isn't that understood, or is it not understood? You have to be stated. Am I on the wrong thing? I'm on the first page on definition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you under
The
part B?
second,
B as in boy?
Nope, I'm on
number 2, right? Right
number
under
2.
purpose?
Yeah, definition number 2.
Okay,
The last sentence says, when appropriate, this definition includes the property on which the short-term rental is located. Do you have that in yours?
Yeah.
But does that need to be on there, or can it just be understood? Do you see it?
at the
don't
bottom of
see
your
it.
page, what's?
No, it's right
revision
here.
there?
So if you look at that one,
Okay, yeah,
It is-
the latest revision that I sent out is revision C, the bottom.
Oh, maybe I have that one too. Maybe I didn't print the newest one out.
I did. I want to see the like one in here. There's just so much stuff.
You know what, I had revision.
I had great joy in sending out all these documents.
I must be
You know what,
missing
I
C.
thought, I didn't catch that that was C because I printed off B as well, thinking, why is he sending me it again?
Well, I read the one where it said forget the first one. And
Well, then I'll have to make different notes on the next one. I'll send it to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't be sorry.
But can I check on that one real quick? I found a
Well,
typo.
why don't you go ahead and read them?
Well, this is wrong.
Well, we may have some other thoughts.
I did.
outside of what's in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
On section 5, number 5, on section E, do you have that still, or is it changed? Certificate required.
you said E in section
It was
5.
5E.
Oh.
Is that still 5E? I'm not sure.
I
It's
don't-
regarding the certificate, Ken? No.
No. I don't have that.
Okay, well, I'll just hold off then.
Okay,
I'll just listen. I'm sorry.
I am.
I guess we all have the wrong one.
okay, why don't we, delay this until next time?
I apologize.
No problem.
Okay.
I
I
see.
did, I
I thought it
I
was
found a
the same.
typo, but I wanted to tell you about it, but it might be, you might have already fixed it.
I hope.
Okay,
So we're gonna table that.
We're gonna table it, yeah,
I'm sorry.
no problem. Okay, yeah. Terry, you wanna make a motion to table that till the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to table that for next meeting.
I'll second it.
Could you resend another C and just,
Yeah, I'll send
All right.
another C out.
okay,
So
thank you. I must have missed that.
It was dated 10/2/24.
Okay.
Okay,
You don't roll call.
roll call, yep,
Mr. Weeks?
yes.
Ms. Courage?
Yes.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard?
Yes.
And I'm yes as well.
This is gonna go faster tonight than I thought.
Sorry.
Next item on the agenda is I want to read the letter again from the Bristol Township trustees requesting the zoning commission to consider the impact on short-term rentals in the township. Excuse me, this is dated 9/3/24. Bristol Board of Trustees requests the Bristol Zoning Commission to consider the impact of short-term rentals in our township. Several residents of Bristol have asked if short-term rentals can be banned through a zoning resolution in our township. The Bristol Board of Trustees requests the zoning commission to review short-term rentals and proceed with appropriate text changes to the zoning resolution if allowable by the Ohio Revised Code. Sincerely, Bristol Board of Trustees. Okay, I came up with some information that I just want to talk about, and I thought there might be some other people here tonight because it's one of the, not the last trustee meeting, but second 2 trustee meetings ago, they were very concerned about this whole process. And I wanted to hopefully be able to describe the process to these individuals so that they would know that this is not going to be a short-term process. I'm going to just go through my little litany here. First, we received a motion, we made a motion on September 19, 2024 to proceed, and that was BTZ 24-37. What we need to do now is determine how we proceed. What needs to happen now is we need to determine how we proceed. And the first question that I ask is, do we want a new section of the zoning resolution? And the second question was, do we want to approach the problem as a nuisance? And Tara did a word search in the ORC for a definition of nuisance, and you came up with about a litany of a lot of definitions of nuisance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nuisance may or may not be a way to approach this, but I'm not sure it is. Just my personal opinion on that.
But even, can I just say that even if it was a nuisance, how does somebody say that this is a nuisance and this isn't, and what do you do when it is?
And
How
by
do we-
whose criteria do you
Yeah.
judge that? That gets to be really tricky out there.
It's very subjective.
And then the third item was, do we want to prohibit short-term rentals? And first question after that, is it legal to prohibit short-term rentals? Because now you're interfering with somebody's property rights.
Right.
And that gets to be very, you're gonna lose in court on that one real fast.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that. Second item under that term is, we currently permit hotels and rooming houses in the business district already. So if we already permit it in one place, how can you deny it in another place? So that's another
Right.
strike against prohibiting.
Right.
Okay. Next item is, Howland Township is currently exploring how to regulate short-term rentals. And they provided me with a copy of their new section, and I have modified it to show Bristol instead of Howland and some of the other
Mhm.
terminology they use. And I think I sent that out to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's rather complex. There's some things in there that we do not have any infrastructure to do any of those things. And the county does not have a registration process for short-term rentals to begin with, so it becomes
Mm-hmm.
a totally voluntary thing on how you're going to capture some of this information. So there's another issue out there, how you're going to do that, accomplish that. So with all these things in mind, we need to decide on a direction we want to go. So, and the next step after that is to create drafts of any new text or revisions to the zoning ordinance. And that's going to take some time because it's not going to be done quickly. Then we have to approve the drafts at a zoning meeting. And then we need to send those drafts to the Trumbull County prosecutor to get his opinions and thoughts on it, so we know we're on somewhat legal ground. Then we need to make the appropriate changes to the drafts based on the review of the assistant Trumbull County prosecutor. Then we need to approve those changes at a zoning meeting, set a public hearing, and approve a motion to send the drafts to the Trumbull County Planning Commission for their review and recommendation. And depending on the timing you get that to the Trumbull County Planning Commission, we have to give them 2 weeks' notice. They only meet once a month, and if you miss that timing for them, then you're going into the following month before you even get on their agenda. Okay, then once it does get on the agenda for the Trumbull County Planning Commission, and we conduct the public hearing, we have to approve the final draft at a zoning meeting and forward the appropriate documents to the trustees for their consideration. Then the trustees receive the documents, set a public hearing, conduct a public hearing, and approve the text revisions to the zoning ordinance. And it would then go into effect 30 days after approval. So my point on this whole process is that it's going to be well into 2025 before anything is really finalized on this. And hopefully no one, and again, my other purpose is that we need to be, this is not something that can be taken lightly, and there's going to be a lot of legal ramifications to it. And we need to go, you need the zoning commission, whoever's on the zoning commission needs to go slowly and make sure that all their ducks are lined up on this, so. My opinion is it's probably gonna be March before anything is really finalized on this. And we need to keep people, hopefully aware, and I'll try to do that at the trustee meetings when I make my report, that this is not something that's gonna happen overnight. And I think there were some people at that meeting that night thought that this should be happening right now, and why the zoning commission hadn't done something already on it that night, so. That's why I was hoping they would be here tonight to hear my little speech on this, because it's not gonna happen very fast. Thoughts on that? And I only, excuse me, my term ends at the end of the year, and I'm not, but it's gonna be a lot of work on the part of all of you or whoever is on the zoning commission at that time to follow up on this and make it happen after the first of the year. So, we'll get some work done on it. But we just need to go slowly and make sure we have all our ducks lined up on them. So
Ken, I got questions. As far as,
don't make it too difficult now, Cory.
are the trustees asking you to make changes, or were they asking you to look into the legality of things? Is this something that should be voted on by the public, or is this
Well,
something that,
that's another consideration, Cory. The letter read, request the zoning commission to consider the impact of short-term rentals in our township. Several residents have asked if short-term rentals can be banned with a zoning resolution. So I guess that was their point in sending it to us.
sure.
Uh,
And I think I've talked to some of the guys that are up in arms about it. I think a lot of the issue is the fact that they're not very well governed. None of them are really against the Airbnbs, but that's a circus over there. I don't know
Well-
how much you've seen going on there. So I understand where he's upset, but at the same time, as a business owner, I don't want to put a squash on other people who are
Right.
legitimate,
doing a
Right.
good job.
right.
My buddy Bobby in Southington, his place is beautiful. I would understand why he would be offended. I mean, he's dropped $200,000 into remodeling a family farmhouse, and
Well, as I pointed out a couple of meetings ago, there's one over on Park Avenue that most people didn't even know that was there.
Right.
Because they're
Nothing
doing
bad's
everything the
going on.
right way.
Yeah.
And how can,
I'm not sure legally we could ban them. Right.
no,
I just think
Just
that
have to
have
permit it
regulations
and have
and
regulations.
that's my opinion, but
do they fall under commercial?
well, in 2021, Doug Seaman wrote a letter from the county prosecutor. In his opinion, it wasn't commercial, it's rental property. It's how you use your property is, property rights is what his point was. And he's confirmed that to me recently. In his opinion, it's a rental thing, property rights. And property rights, when you start interfering with property rights in court, you're probably gonna lose. He hasn't seen, and that's why none of the townships except Howland have even attempted to do something about it, because it's it's a loser if you don't do it right.
So the issue at the state level that is not passed yet,
Oh,
will that override what you're trying to do and kind of just nullify everything you guys have been working on?
well, the sad thing about that, Cory, is that didn't make it through the House. 563 did not make it through the 135th or 136th General Assembly. It was not picked up again in the next General Assembly, so it died. And what 563 would have done was say, townships, you can't regulate short-term rentals. Which, thank you, Lord, for, at
Out of
least
your
making it
hands.
one way or the other,
Yeah.
You can or you can't. But our state legislature, wonderful, how they are, some things they want to do and some things they don't want to do, so.
Nobody's paid them enough yet to do it.
Whatever. So it's back to the townships, and, it's going to be, as Jason told me a couple weeks ago, You know, it's gonna be in the courts, and he said where townships have gone overboard on it, they're gonna lose their shirts on it. Because you're interfering with property rights.
Right.
So I guess to keep you guys from working for nothing,
Well, that's the other
would
thing
you be
that-
better off to maybe work together with other townships and write one that kind of, I know you're trying to copy Howland's, but maybe sit down with
I wanna
everybody and
play
get
with
one
it.
and done and be done with it.
They've already changed their philosophy on that too. They're now going in the direction
Right.
of saying that they're not going to allow short-term rentals within 1,000 feet of each other. And that's really tricky too, because that's interfering, you know, if I got a house right in the middle of that, I'm not gonna be a very happy camper. So, you know,
Because the other guy
there's
got
some
it
legal
first.
questions on how that's gonna fly too, so.
I mean, it's not 1,000 feet out here is not a big deal, but Howland, I mean, that's
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah,
house here, house there.
that's
So
right.
if your
that's
neighbor
right.
beat you to the punch,
So-
you can't do it.
That's why I'm suggesting we just go slowly on this thing, you know, and not rush into it because it's.
Are other communities having them get a permit to say,
they-
establish
they-
that?
They don't have any process for it.
Wrong. Because I'm thinking if you had it, then you're aware of where they are in your community, and then you're aware of if there's a problem at that, maybe you have some
If we
say.
had, that's why I said the infrastructure, we have no infrastructure to do anything like that. Now, we have a zoning inspector, but it would be a voluntary thing on the part of the landowner, property owner, to come and register that they have an Airbnb or a short-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really don't want to get involved in the legal process on that, why would you come?
Yeah.
You know, it's a voluntary thing, and how are you going to force people who have an Airbnb to come register their
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb?
So I'm not sure if I'm following 100%. Are the ADUs also part
No,
of the
that's
Airbnb?
Totally
So,
separate. That's
What's
totally
stopping somebody to using the ADU as an Airbnb?
Well, that's something we need to, you know, as I was doing some research this afternoon, that's one of the things I came up with. We need to probably put something in with ADUs that, you know, it's already in there, they could be used as a rental property, but now, okay, you know, you want a short term, you want. But then there's some more things that need to be thought through on that whole ADU thing too, so.
Yeah,
And
kind of one.
it's probably a good thing that all of this is coming up right now. Because if we were looking at it, one thing here and one thing here, now at least we can look at it collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think other townships want to do anything. Otherwise, they would have been doing it a long time ago. My opinion on that. I don't think there's any motivation to do it. But at least we start out this way. You know, we can always send a letter back to the zoning commission can always send a letter back to the trustees. You can't prohibit them. That's gonna be, you know, that's a loser in court,
Right.
but to do anything else is gonna be, you know,
Is it worth our while to try to govern them?
yeah. Since we don't
That's
have
where I was
infrastructure.
getting at. Like,
Since we don't have.
How does one
infrastructure,
govern if they're not gonna bring the, yeah, I don't,
How can you register them and voluntarily, as I said earlier, it's a
Mhm.
voluntary thing.
sure.
and that's kind of where I thought maybe the nuisance clause would come into play. You know, you've got stuff like this where people are trespassing on people's property and their septics aren't up to grade for what they're doing over there. Somehow this keeps gliding under the rug. You know, we found out there was no police report that was taken over there. So
See, and
they showed up, they just didn't do the paperwork.
if there would have been a paper trail, then there could have been, you know,
Right.
something. Don't know. I think I'd like to entertain a motion to proceed to table this until next meeting.
I'll second.
You just trying to push it off till January.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
And then you guys can dump it.
We
Now,
did
it's,
disagree there, just.
now, it's a loaded issue,
Yeah.
Sure.
but it's gonna take a lot of support on the community
Mm-hmm.
to make it happen. Okay, we've got a motion and a second.
This is the short term, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's second?
Sarah. Barnard.
Okay, Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Goodrich,
Yes.
Ms. Keys,
Yes.
Ms. Bernard,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is to revise section 5, classification of uses to reflect paragraph 3E and new section 44, plus 2 definitions in subsection B, rooming house, hotel, and rooming house. I hope you all have your copies of section 5.
Huh?
And I'd like to go through that. Since section 44 states in paragraph 3E that side-by-side rear lot, I'm sorry, side-by-side rear lot or flag lot is conditionally permitted. We have to put that into classification of uses in section 5. So under our district, side by side, I've added conditionally permitted uses. There's now side by side rear lot or flag lot becomes item 11 on that. And on the next page, the business, any use permitted in an R, PRC, or MH district shall be permitted in a B district. So we had we had rooming house in there and we had hotel in there. And some time ago, prosecutor had suggested to the trustees anyway that we add definition of rooming house and definition of a hotel. And these two definitions come right out of the ORC. So that's why I added them in there. And then changed the numbering system down there. That was in the B district. And then that was under C in the B district, added side by side rear lot or flag lot, see section 44, that becomes a conditionally permitted use in the B district. Also in the I district, conditionally permitted uses was added, side by side rear lot or flag lot, see section 44. So that makes it consistent with what we have in section 44 now, which is soon to be in effect. So that's why I had to go ahead and update section 5. To be consistent. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward on that.
Even though we go back to the ORC, if we don't have it in our book, we still have to put that definition in.
Well, initially I had to refer to the ORC
Yeah.
and Jason bounced back to me and said, I think you ought to put the definition in there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried.
All right.
I initially, one of the things I sent out was the whole definition. It got into a whole bunch of other stuff there too.
Yeah.
I talked with Kim Vaughn down at the planning commission, and she said, well, I would just suggest putting in the first definition there, so
Okay.
that's what I did. So I'd like to entertain I'd like someone else to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
This is just approval.
Well, and to set a public hearing on November 18th, 2024. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Goodrich,
Yes.
Ms. Pease,
Yes.
Ms. Bernard,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well.
And I will get that paperwork out to the Trumbull County Planning Commission for their blessing on that. Next. Okay. See, I have to have that information into the planning commission by tomorrow, or it will bump it all the way back to November, before they do take it on their agenda, so. Okay, next item on the agenda is to update Appendix C, zoning ordinance revisions. And what I've done there is add section 44 in the middle of the text there, rear lot or flag lot. And that was approved by the trustees, so it will be effective November 1st, 2024. So I'd like to entertain a motion to update Appendix C and forward the information to the trustees for their approval on.
I'll second that. Oh, Vivian second.
Who made the first?
Jeannie's got to get in here someplace.
I thought you had made the first.
I thought you did too.
Yeah, that's why they seconded
Oh, okay.
it. I'll make it,
Okay, yeah, thank you.
for sure.
And Tara seconded?
Yeah, I'll second.
Roll call.
Yes, yes,
Mr. Weeks,
yes.
Ms. Courage,
Yes.
Ms. Pease,
Yes.
Ms. Bernard,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well.
Next item on the agenda is to update Appendix E, Bristol Township District Use Table. I'd like someone to make a motion to add the rear lot or flag lot side-by-side strips to the Appendix E, Bristol Township District Use Table. And under column business and industrial, there would be conditionally permitted.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a question.
Yes,
So conditionally permitted for business and industrial, but what about residential?
it's already permitted.
Okay, all right. Oh, yes, sure.
Roll call.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Courage,
Yes.
Ms. Pease,
Yes.
Ms. Bernard,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well.
Okay. Meeting dates. Is there any problem with anybody have any questions on the meeting, public hearing date of November 18th? We're all hopefully going to be able to be there. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Next meeting is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. We talked about that last meeting. And the last meeting will be December 9th, so. And if things go well, that will be, yeah, okay. Comments from commission members? Kara, do you have anything?
I'm still having issues with, certain driveways, being able to see out of them and people aren't trimming them back, but that's my only, nobody wants to do anything about it, so that's my concern. They went to the one house, the township did, and they kicked them out, so,
And legally, what still needs to be trimmed back there is inside the township, is on the township.
Right.
right, is there like a right of way of the township, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyhow, it's
They chased him away.
the homeowner did, yeah.
Well, they kind of went about it wrong.
I would agree. I think
Well,
it wasn't. They
yeah.
could have knocked on the door and explained, but anyhow, that's my only concern, but that's it.
Okay. Vivian?
The ADUs, are we done with those?
We tabled it.
We tabled it for next meeting.
That's what we had a couple questions on that.
Well, bring it up now.
Well, I noticed on ours, we didn't put a limit or maximum
Maximum.
square footage or, yes.
There's a
So we
percent
put 75
or something like that.
Yeah.
We said 75%
Of the
of
of
the
the
Principal.
original.
principal,
square footage. So my question is, if you have a 2-story house and it's 50 by 20. So that's 1,000 and 1,000 or, yeah, 1,000, right? So you got 2,000 square foot house. Now, are you able to put a 1,500 square foot ranch next to it? Because square footage wise, even though it's going to be 50 by 30, it's going to be actually larger than the permanent, or do you switch which one is?
No, well, that probably needs to be clarified in there. That's a good point to bring up.
Yeah, because I looked at that, and I'm like, well, so then this is, and so they keep the same address, correct? Or do they have a separate mailing address?
The post office may require that they have a separate address.
Okay, because that doesn't, I don't think that spells that out either.
Yep, but those are good points. Judy, do you have any thoughts on that too?
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking ADUs were connected to another house, but we're not,
They
they don't necessarily have to be
They can be.
connected.
right? They can be, or they can be
Yes.
separate.
Right, they can be separate, yeah.
I guess my thought was like the in-law suite, something
Mhm.
like that, I guess. It makes sense, but
Yes,
I like
Like
the
you're
idea of like, yeah, having more concrete. Cause I don't think I even thought that, but somebody along the line is gonna think that.
Mhm.
So if we can get that
because
out
you're
of the way.
not talking area, you're talking square footage. So
Right.
the area is different than your square footage.
Okay, add on to that, is it square footage of living space? So if somebody's got a garage
Mhm.
attached to it,
That's what it says. That's why I think there has to be a limit and based off of what the area, the square.
And
now that Tara's got the biggest garage in the township,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she could build up, right?
that's bigger than your house.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have it.
No, I'm not going in AD, but don't worry. Not anytime soon.
I do have a question regards to Tara on the intersection stuff.
Mhm.
Political signs, how far do those have to be? Because I find it very ironic that one of our trustees has a wall on his corner lot of political signs that are actually worse than any of the vegetation.
I think it has to be able to see through. I think the biggest thing is clearance in order to drive. And I think it's common sense, but maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's long gone.
Yeah, well, I think maybe, I don't know, addressing the person first is the right thing, and then from there.
Is it your duty to draw up literature of how far away the stuff has to be?
Political sign, I believe we can't.
Well, no, I mean, like the
touch.
vegetation, can we just get one drawn up so that when Ellen sends out a
you
warning shot, here it is, print it out, send it?
Like a letter.
Yeah. Does she
There
do
might-
that or do you
well,
guys do
There
that?
might be one. I'm sure.
Well, that was my question after you brought that up last year and or months of the summer. And the issue with Jim and the homeowner that kind of blew up. I'm like, knock on a door, send a letter. Like, there's so many things that could have been done that probably could have just squashed the whole problem, been cleaned up.
You know, thinking that through, we may want to look at putting something in in prohibited uses, in the nuisance part of that, section 6, where that the landowner is responsible, it would be considered a nuisance if the property right of way or vegetation is overgrown on township right of way, interfering with sight lines
Yeah.
at an intersection. There might be some way we could, draft something like that. So-
Yeah. And what I brought up to Jim was, and I wasn't trying to be rude about it, but where does this start and stop? Because we could go and pick every single intersection and look at the county or the township and say, hey, this needs to be cleaned up, but they only mow twice a year legally. So they could literally do it week to week, back to back, and say we're done for the year.
Yeah, but I as a homeowner, living on it, and I have a corner lot property, I certainly try to do my best to keep that cleaned out.
I
Sure.
used to live on the corner too. And we always made sure every time we mowed. And that's not always reasonable, but at least every other time.
I mean, there's property owners in town that own multiple properties that do a very good job of cleaning up their corner. One of them is High Schaefer Corner. Rex has somebody out there mowing all the time. There's other people. I was on the Otter site last night. There's people that own property from Arkansas, Maryland, Minnesota in town that probably come up here once a year to go hunting. And it never gets tended to. So,
But putting it under the section 6 prohibited uses nuisance might be a way to, at least that would give the zoning inspector the ability to write a letter saying, hey, you're in violation of the nuisance thing and you're on the property.
Yeah.
Right away.
you know, and I know it's not necessarily our responsibility, but there's a lot of times where she doesn't do her due diligence, and letters do go out to an older lady that's in the hospital with cancer. Or is there a way that maybe we could put together and work with like Beta Club or Boy Scouts? If we find out that it's this last scenario, the lady was in the hospital. Yes, the older son lived there, but the lady was in the hospital. We should be able to get a team out there and
There's
get that.
extenuating circumstances, we can be addressed.
And you know, there's generally speaking, there's neighbors that will
Sure.
help out too if we know better, so,
And I understand your concern you brought up. I just feel like,
yeah.
you know, you kind of shot yourself in the foot of ever expecting that guy
Kind of
vote.
relationship.
yes ever again for anything that involves Bristol Township the way it was handled. So
But
Yeah.
maybe we can do something differently and put something in there that give, at least the letter be written.
yeah,
A kind
beforehand.
letter. That's
Right,
somewhat kind,
a
yeah.
friendly
Say,
first step.
Just a
give them
suggestion,
some
it's come to our
options.
attention,
I'll work on some research on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, got it then.
I think the other thing too, a lot of people don't realize is the difference of who's responsible. Like I'm on the corner of Hazelcraft and Quarry Hunt. One's a county road, one's a township road, and neither one seem to do anything. It's like the other guy's problem. So
Yeah, you're kind of tricked back there. Well, I'm on State Road.
but on the Farmington side, both those corners, you're halfway into Quarry Hunt before you can get out of Hazelcraft.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's been like that for 20 years. I brought it up at that meeting and
Well, that's one of those times where I think that the township just, be a big boy about it. Mow it down, even if it's county property, the county's not gonna
you're already there.
give you a bad slap. They might slap you on the wrist for doing it, but hey, you're doing the citizens who go through that intersection every day a favor by trying to maintain it. Vivian, do you have anything? You had the ADUs.
Yeah.
Jeannie?
No, November 11th, you said is our next meeting, and the public hearing
It's the
is
18th.
18th. Okay.
And I scheduled it that way because the planning commission doesn't meet until the 12th. So I wanted to have the letter in hand when we have our public hearing.
6 o'clock.
Carolyn, anything? I have one thing that just keep in the back of your mind. Solar farms are going to be probably a topic in the discussion next year. Trumbull County, let me read a letter to Julie Green, who is the director of Trumbull County Planning Commission, sent to the gentleman who had applied to not applied, but wanted to get some information on solar panels. This is from Julie Green, Director of Trumbull County Planning Commission, to Brian Malloy, Brandon Lucas, I'm sorry. Hi, Brendan. The Board of Trumbull County Commissioners have not taken any action to date regulating large solar facilities generating more than 50 megawatts. I cannot speak for the board, however, I think The reason why they decided not to take this action is due to the fact that a large solar facility does decide to locate in Trumbull County, and they and the townships are provided the opportunity to voice their approval or disapproval of each facility on a case-by-case basis based on the new Ohio Power Siting Board public hearing process requirements. Small solar facilities generating less than 50 megawatts are regulated through township zoning. You can find the information, yada, yada, yada. You can contact the township zoning officials to inquire whether or not they have adopted any solar regulations that are restrictive for facilities generating under 50 megawatts. There are 4 townships in Trumbull County that do not have zoning, and this surprised me. I didn't realize Mespo doesn't have zoning. Mecca doesn't have zoning. Vernon doesn't have zoning. And Brookfield doesn't have zoning.
I know Brookfield.
Yeah. Our office does not review zoning text map amendments for cities or villages, as they have their own planning commissions and processes. And so you will need to reach out to each city and village, as well as also list what's in the directory. And what prompted me to do that is Ellen called me a week ago today. She had a call from a company that was interested in putting a solar farm here in Bristol Township. And they have 20 some acres under contract. I won't say under contract, but potentially under contract if they can put a solar farm out here in Bristol Township. So solar farms may be coming, people may be asking questions about solar farms, so just be aware.
So would that fall under the small or the large farm?
The 22 acres would probably be a large solar farm, yeah.
Well, didn't we discuss this last year and we had to have so many continuous acreage or footage in order to do it? Cause I remember my uncle and I looking at me, he was, we'll just put all the property on one name. Cause I have 85, he has 110. And neither one of us were big enough to do it.
I don't know.
So it's not on our books.
We did something
We
with.
have under 50 megawatts. We can do control that. But this, with 22 acres, I'm thinking they were going to be larger than a large solar farm.
So then they would have to do what?
They'd have to go to the Ohio Power Siting Board, get permission to do it. And Bristol Township and Trumbull County would both have the ability to go to that public hearing and raise our objections if we wanted to raise objections to it. Just food for thought.
We
that
would have a heads up though. We would.
Hopefully we'd have a heads up.
I forgot, I have one more thing. I mentioned to Ellen about the containers, the storage containers, the shipping containers. Do you think she did anything regarding those?
One is gone.
Which one was
The
gone?
one on Corey, on House of Craft.
Okay,
Yeah, he needs it.
okay, do you think she sent letters?
I have no idea.
Okay.
This is one of the things down the road.
Mhm.
Hopefully there's more communication so that, we're not operating in the black and dark, or zoning commission's not operating in the dark. And communication is, at least more than I issued one permit, or you don't even know how many, she concentrates on junk car things like that, but we don't know anything else about what's.
Are there established form letters that go out for these specific things? So like that we could approve, like, okay, this is for, like you're saying, a bin, or this
Silly
is for.
person.
Okay, never mind. Well, I'm just saying, so that if we would all vote on it and say, yeah, this is what we want sent out, and then every month we review who gets sent what.
It took
Because
me
that's-
blowing a gasket in the courtroom to get her to even describe what the problem was in the letter. It just said junk in the paperwork, and you had to figure out what the problem was because she wouldn't answer you on the phone.
We,
So we should
Let's
discuss that with her.
establish
Just
Yeah.
ask her.
Oh, after the first of the year, please.
The zoning violation paperwork has been updated. It is a lot more descriptive when she sends it out now. So yeah,
That's fine, we'll talk to her.
but I mean,
It'd be better if
it's
there
not
was
just a
some
Bristol
consistency.
problem. The Trumbull County Health Department's just as bad. The Ohio EPA is just as bad, where they they don't communicate with each other. So it's not just you guys, but. Perfect.
Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I will second.
I made that motion. Do you have a second?
Third.